it was hard for me to separate a present feeling of social rejection with it linking to my past adoption. And of course, it was on me to differentiate, but when you're a teenager, it's really hard. It's hard to make sense of anything at that age. But, that's fairly normal for non-adopted people, too, is to feel extremely sensitive towards social rejection, especially during the time of differentiation when you're trying to figure out who you are and when your body's changing. So I think just that time period is just rife with with lots of struggles. But anyhow, so after high school, I cut ties with my family, and I'm not going to get too personal about that, but it was evident that they didn't know me and that it was more about me having to be exactly the way they needed me to be. And so, yeah. And, down the line, I did try to reopen the lines of communication. I've done a lot of praying over it, and I feel like I've done as much as I can do to open the door again. But, it's kind of in God's hands. I've really changed my heart at this point. So if they were to knock on that door again, I'm pretty sure things would go much better these days. But anyway, so after high school, I kind of separated from my adoptive family, and I went into the workforce. It was really hard for me. And then I got married. Kind of young. I met my husband when I was 21, the first husband, and so we got married at 24, and all of those first years of my 20s was kind of like on steroids, and I think part of that was just me not having that solid foundation of a familial relationship, and so all of that kind of spread to my romantic relationships, my friendships, etc., etc. But yeah, so I got married at 24. I had my first child at 25. And actually, looking back, I think I chose the best time to have my first child. I mean, it's different for everybody, but for me, and I can honestly remember feeling terrified of having a child, even though I knew I wanted it. And funny enough, a few months before my daughter was born, Jasmine, I got letters from my from my biological family through my adoption agency in Korea, and I wasn't expecting anything. So I didn't really take much stock into it as far as it leading to anything. I was still, pregnancy hormones, overwhelmed. My first husband was an alcoholic. He wasn't really receptive to having a responsibility towards this child. But anyways, for me, when I finally had my daughter, I was totally in love. I felt like most of my adoption shackles were released, and I felt myself grow in trust and love in ways that I never could have within my adoptive family. And so it makes me think back, that probably wasn't the purpose of my adoptive parents. They weren't there to do the healing. They were just supposed to be there to love and support me, and they did the best they could. So anyways, I decided to divorce my first husband, with a very heavy heart, of course. I mean, I did not plan on marrying this guy, having a child, and then having to divorce. But during the time that I separated and I found a job that arranged for me to go to Korea, my birth country, and it turned out that I was able to reunite with my family. So I have like a 2-year-old girl, well, 1.5 girl, and I go to Korea to reunite with my family, and that was surreal. And in that moment of meeting, I actually shut down. I couldn't pick out what exactly I was feeling, and I love to talk. You can tell I love to talk, but yeah, I could not put words to my feelings, and then it finally just came out. But one of the best things I ever did for myself, for my adoptee heart, was I wasn't nasty and I wasn't overboard, but I was very honest with my biological family that even though they sent me away to have a better life, I didn't necessarily experience it that way. I still had that longing for a history that would have included them. And so I really felt like I was being genuine and also forgiving at the same time. You know, I honored their intentions and et cetera, et cetera. So after that meeting, time went on, and I stayed in touch with them, but the language barrier is pretty big, so I don't stay in touch with them very often. But 3 years after that, I was able to bring my daughter to Korea to meet her Korean family. And that was a huge moment in my adoption experience, was just being able to put it all together. You know, my past, my beginnings with my daughter, and kind of sewing my life together. And it wasn't a perfect trip. I mean, it was an awesome trip, but it wasn't perfect. And yeah, that kind of put me on a better trajectory, that I didn't have to have such a divide between my past and my present, which is actually, I think, a huge deal to adoptees and even children of divorce. But one of the biggest things that really helped my growth as far as my adoptee life was meeting my husband, my current husband, and his 2 children. And that was the impetus for me finally putting on a new role of, for lack of better words, adopted mom. And for an adopted person, me, who never wanted to adopt to begin with because I was so afraid of being in that position of hurting another just fragile and hurting child. But I was kind of thrust in the situation, and it really made me understand my own life and my own reactions and my own attitude towards things. And the adoptive parent role has just grown me in character and in perspective and in maturity. And I mean, it's not a perfect relationship, but through that relationship, this sounds really weird, I have a more perfect relationship with myself. I have more acceptance for myself. I feel much better about my beginnings because I feel like they were especially suited to my life right now. My interests, my history, my stepsons were abandoned by their mother just about the time I came into their life. And so not that she gave away guardianship and I haven't legally adopted them, but I have been, at least for the younger son, the female caregiver for the past going on 5 years. And yeah, it was just such a moving, growing experience in my adoptee life. And I see it only getting brighter and brighter. Our relationship is going to get better and better. And then when I become a mother-in-law, when I become a grandmother, you know, I just so look forward to changing my role again and knowing that every change I'm going to grow as a person and be able to appreciate my life that much more. So I appreciate the viewer that asked for my story of adoption and how I've kind of processed the changes throughout my life. I know this is my longest video, but I really hope that my words were weighed so that they impacted you as they have impacted me. Even when I talk about things, it makes it more real. But anyways, I hope you found value in this. I want to communicate hope to you, to communicate support, and I plan on continuing videos. I don't need hundreds of followers, hundreds of subscribers. I just need to know that I've helped one person, one family here and there. And so far, so good. My love and hugs to you guys. Until the next video. Bye.